Welcome to 23 Degrees Sideways, Coyote in the Highlands, and we're going to talk a little bit about prehistory right now, just the attitudes people have and how you think about prehistory, how you think about this stuff, because we have this sense when you're talking to people, they want to improve the situation for humanity, socially, ecologically, environmentally, and yes, those two are different words, all sorts of different stuff. But, without acknowledging the wisdom of innate humanity as it is, it's always an additive process, like our medical care. We managed to keep people alive for 70, 80 years, into their 90s sometimes, quite often, actually, with medical care. Okay, so Neolithic caveman dude out there in Western Europe with his dart thrower and his sling and his stuff, if he made it past, he's not agrarian, okay? We'll talk about hunting in a moment. Excuse me. If he made it past, age 5, age 15. Age 15 is where it really took off. Once you made it into that adulthood stage, he was going to live for 70 years. I mean, we're talking, depending on time and place and stuff, median age, if you made it to adulthood, of 65, 70 years. That means some people still died in a hunting accident at 45, but some people lived to be 90, and this is in a condition where you don't actually have rest homes. You can't do the things where you just sit there all day and eat boiled rice. That's not how it works. It's a hunting society. Now, let's back away from that a little bit, because everyone seems to think that the hunting society is way more strenuous than it is. And that's one of the things that I love about, especially on the green side, the vegetarian side, the homestead side, the agricultural side, is that people think hunting is this, like, you run half a marathon to chase down the deer, you get the deer, you hide from the lion, and sacrifice part of the deer to the lion because predators are going to eat you. You pick up the rest of the deer, and you run another fucking half marathon, 13 miles, carrying 80 pounds of meat on your shoulders, all the way back, and then you guys have a barbecue or something, and I'm like, oh man, this is just, oh man, you guys have never hunted, there's this idea of this strenuous thing that is just so bizarrely insane. This is not how you hunt. One, we don't actually, generally speaking, worry that much about other predators. Maybe if you're hunting alone, and that does happen, and I'll give you an example. But if you're hunting in groups, pairs, threes, you're not, no, that's not the big deal. It's incredibly rare to have that kind of an attack, because we fight back and we are armed, and animals. Yeah, no, that's not how that works. Okay, so we're really smart and we're really efficient. We really are. Hunting mostly means a slow walk in the woods, like a gentle, easy walk in the woods, or sitting very still, open to your environment, completely in the moment, waiting for game. That's actually a really big one for the Enlightenment crowd. You might want to consider hunting blinds as part of your meditation. And I'm not kidding. So, let's take an example. Let's just go back like 150 years, okay? You have an estate. You have some land. You're in England. Everything is about the estates because it's been populated for 8,000 years, 9,000 years, like on a fairly dense level. Everything is owned somewhere, right? Anyway, you're a dude. You've got your double-barreled, muzzle-loading, black powder shotgun. You're going to go out and you're going to do the food for the manor, because at this stage, even though it might be aristocratic and sporty and stuff, this is still pot hunting for the pot. This is literally feeding not just you and your wife, while the indentured servant cook never gets it to taste even the sauce. Now, this is like you're feeding people, the manor, the whatever, your group. This is more community than you might think. A little bit caste bound and a little bit stratified, but it's still more community than you might think. Anyway, there you go. You're out there with your shotgun. You're out there for, what, 5-6 hours, early morning, nice, pleasant walk. And you get 15 pounds of small game, okay? Dresses out, even with the best pots and everything, you're going to end up with 8 pounds of meat. That's not bad for what you're doing, the situation you're in. It would be a little bit better if you had a little bit different hunting style or something, but yeah, you're just out fowling. You're just literally out shooting upland game, birds, dove, quail, stuff like that. Maybe a rabbit. Maybe you take an opportunistic shot at a rabbit. That's fine. That's great. That's hunting. He has a shotgun. You think the shotgun is some piece of magic that makes everything else about hunting not count. No. Exactly the opposite. You're still a hunter. You still have to go out there in the field. You have to find game, flush game, not scare game excessively. You have to do all the things that involve hunting. Now, let's take it back. 10,000 years ago, 12,000 years ago. Over there, maybe even 8,000 years ago. Anyway, let's go back. Let's go look at Neolithic Western European hunting. Well, now you're using a dart thrower, which people would think of that as an atlatl or a spear thrower, but it's not. What the darts themselves are long arrows. They're more like 46-inch arrows instead of 31-inch arrows. They're still arrow shafts. They flex, they bend, and the thrower is a half bow. You hold it, and it comes out the back, but it's not a stick that just adds leverage. It's a bow. It moves, and it just so happens, we know this from archaeology, that when you throw the cord, when it springs back on that thrower, and the cord of your arrow match up, and it just boosts you really. But there's no way to aim. These are actually a little harder to use than a traditional bow, and I'm too late in life for probably to actually get really good, like hit a possum with it level of good. I could probably get good enough to hit a standing adult javelina within a year and a half. They're not that hard. It's still a very instinctive. It's actually still a throwing motion. It's so instinctive to humanity that it's just great. Might even be easier to get really good over time with that than it is with a bow, because you're not instinctively sighting. You're literally throwing, which where our brains are built for. So, anyway, you're hunting with that. It's no harder than a black powder shotgun. In the end, it really isn't. You grew up with it. You're probably able to take medium-sized birds on a branch. Not on the wing, but sitting, in a branch. And that's pretty good. Basic small game, basic medium game. You're going to hunt deer with this. This is great. No problems. Boar hunts are going to be a little bit finicky with that. You're still going to want to have a spear. Boar can be dramatically different, especially the European boar. There's myths about them. But this is hunting. Hunting is not this endurance race of horrible physical expenditure. It's mostly waiting for the game, gently walking around to find game, tending space, which if you go back far enough just basically means lighting fires, but also building dams and stuff. Tending space to promote game. It's not, people, especially in the climate change side where you've been taught about how plants and permaculture and the right kind of agriculture is going to save humanity, people don't know what hunting is. They don't know how pastoral it can be. Like, the whole reason we developed herding was because we were controlling the animals we were hunting. And we're really good at that too, So maybe if you just reframe what you think of as hunting and think of all of humanity being relatively aristocratic, very, very lots of free time, lots of relaxation time, punctuated by sprints. Hunting, the active part of a hunt is usually a sprint. There's endurance stuff. We can outrun most animals over time, and that exists, and endurance hunting is one of our adaptations, but a lot of it is sprint activities and lots of lounge time, and we are really not doing this work 10 hours a day, stress thing. That's not what we do. It's not how we evolved, especially as hunters. Agriculture is much harder work and much more stress in general than hunting. This is one of the things to take a look at. So the video is getting long. We're over my 7 minutes, and I just want to note that this is a reframe you might want to look at when you think about humans living to be in their 70s and 80s without medicine at all on a basic hunting diet. Anything that takes away from that is robbing you. Okay, if you need pills to live that long, you've been robbed. Which isn't really the point of the video. The point of the video is that a lot of people on certain sides of the ecology and environment and farming and permaculture debates don't recognize, have a very specific and biased view of what it means to be a hunter. And open your mind a little bit. Take a look. I don't know if this one is going to go in the longevity series or not, but it might, because that's one of the things to really look at with longevity is what are the factors that get you to live to be 75, 80 years old without medicine. Hunting. Stay sideways.